What's up, everybody? I'm here with my main man, Statsational. How we doing today, John? Talk about some baseball. You ready?
I'm ready, man. It's a good day when I get to see that face over there staring at me. No Boynton. I mean, Boynton is more attractive. I'll have to say that.
No, that's not true. That's not true. We've actually gone through that with women at bars. They think I'm more attractive.
That is utter horseshit. When you had the full beard?
Well, I think I had a similar beard to now. The full head of hair does it. Boynton, as I like to tell everybody, he's a hat fisher. It's like you have catfishing. He's a hat fisher, so it's like he looks a lot better when he's wearing a hat.
That's a valid point.
That's so valid. Without I don't need to wear a hat because
we went to college. I'm sure you went to college with guys like that. Like already at like 20, they had to wear a hat.
Well, my brother was bald when we were like fucking 16.
Yeah, it's a shame. Listen, not everyone could have hair like this, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, for your age, fuck.
All right, listen, for any age, really. I mean, let's not get stupid here.
I still got mine for now as well. But this MLB slate is fucking enormous, and I think there's one clear spot that I love more than the rest.
You think?
but we're gonna burn through all of it, and we'll start with Detroit at Tampa Bay. Let's see the line. Let's see what we got for the line here. Detroit, Tampa Bay, over under 8.5 juice, minus 119 on the under, and Tampa Bay coming in at minus 110. Jack Flaherty and Shane Baz. I know that I bet heavily on the under here. So are you targeting the pitchers in this game like I am? Because that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's look. I always like to look at the prop market. I mean, Flaherty, you've got 5.5, heavily juiced to the over, with Baz 5.5 with the juice on the under. I've got Baz and Flaherty pretty close. I mean, I've got both these guys right around the 10th and 11th on my overall. But the thing is, everyone's super tight. So even down to like 10 or 11, these guys are decent options down here on the entire slate. I mean, when you look at the slate tonight, and I know what you were kind of alluding to, a spot that you love, and there is some value in that game. But I think a lot of these, there's not a lot of great cheap pitching tonight. If I don't know what you felt about it when you looked it over, but I don't love the cheaper options. So I think some of these guys that are sub 8K may just be a little bit higher owned than they should be on a regular slate, just because we got that game in Colorado. There's going to be a lot of people obviously on the Arizona side, which are crazy expensive. So I think that's going to artificially inflate some of the cheaper pitching. And I think we're kind of right in the mid here. Like I said, I've got the mid ranked and they're right around mid price. So not terribly high on either of these guys. They're in a stadium here that does lend itself to some runs, but yeah, I'm not that high on either one of these pitchers tonight.
Yeah, actually, my initial run throughs, I'm getting a shitload of both guys. I've got Flaherty and Baz both like 30-40%. They're my second and third highest pitchers right now, behind Max Fried. So I do like both sides of this game. Obviously, considering I'm betting the under, I think it's going to be low scoring despite the stadium that it's in, and then the humidity y'all got down there in fucking Tampa. But I just I don't see either of these lineups really being able to hit either one of these guys like very well.
Yeah, I mean the boom report's not out yet. I kind of I want to wait a little bit for some of these lineups. We got a ton of games. I think 13 games.
Arizona's lineup sucks. That's one thing. Corbin Carroll's not playing.
I know. Yeah, no, I did see that with the Arizona lineup, but I just wanted to, I did kind of do a little sneak peek on what the boom report's going to be. And I mean, this game really offensively, we don't have a lot, which I think is also adding to the fact that, a lot of the projections out there are not going to like the bats in this game, which is going to, I think, even further increase what the ownership gets on both of these pitchers. I just think, let me look at it. What do you have Saber up in front of you, like what they're projecting the ownership on these guys?
I do not have it up.
I have it up. If you give me 1 second, I got it. Flaherty. So I've got both of these guys down in like the low teens, which
no way.
And you're getting way more than that. Yeah, I would have thought they would have been higher owned. So with that, I think I'd be fine at like 15% on both. Sounds like you're getting a little bit more on both of these guys.
Yeah, I'm definitely hammer shotting both of them. This is my main pitching target game, other than the expensive guys. But I don't really like the bats very much. Let me check what I got here on the batters. Detroit, I do not have a single batter from Detroit, not even once. Tampa, I also do not have a single batter even once.
Yeah, they're just not projecting well. So I could totally understand why you're getting a lot pitching when you're running a lot of pitching in this game.
All right, next we got Baltimore at New York. The aforementioned Max Fried, likely the heavy target in this game. We got New York is laying, goddamn, on DraftKings they're laying minus 301 with an over-under of 9, juiced minus 14 to the under. Can I interest you in the New York bats in addition to Max Fried?
Yeah, well, I think the bats are certainly in play. I mean, obviously, Fried is the best option, I think, for the entire slate. I've got him as my number one pitcher tonight. The betting markets, as far as the props go on Fried, 6.5, slightly juiced to the over on his Ks. Sagano, we're not even going to talk much about Sagano, but he's only 3.5 strikeouts. So, I mean, this is really a case of Fried with the highest out total as well tonight projected and in the prop market. So that lends itself to obviously him being one of the stronger plays. So I've got Fried as my number one option. Again, these guys are all really close at the top, but he just kind of edged out Brown and Wheeler for me at the 10K.
You're pretty big into the edging.
What's that?
You're pretty big into the edging.
Yes. I got a good. I used that in a text message the other day in an unrelated way, like I just did now, and it came out funny. Unfortunately, I can't remember it. So you're just gonna have to trust me that it was hysterical.
Oh yeah, I have to trust you. It was funny if you were there.
But yes, and yes, I am, as a matter of fact. So but yeah, so Fried's going to be a strong option. I think higher than what the market, or at least what Sabres projecting of like 20% on Fried, 21%. I think I'd want to get a little bit or maybe a significant amount higher, although we have some pretty strong pitching options on this slate. As far as the bats go, this is all Yankees all day. If you want, what's up?
Los Yankees.
It is, man. There's no Baltimore bat I would even sniff and touch in this game, but I pretty much like all the Yankee bats. Stanton at 3,700, I think is just, I think that's ridiculous. So I think that's a really good value there. Volpe 3,800. You're getting Wells behind the plate at 4,300. Grisham at 4K. So outside of the Judge 66 and Chisholm 5,100, I think we get some decent value out of the Yankees. So I do like the Yankee bats quite a bit tonight.
I'm not getting quite as much as you on the Yankees. Most of their bats I'm getting between 5 and 10%, just because they're priced up a little compared to some other superior options to me. I don't think this game is going to be particularly high scoring. I think you're going to get like a 5-1 result, something like that. I lean toward the under, and I like Max Fried. As you spoke about with Fried, he is the best pitcher on the slate by a substantial amount, regardless of price. They frankly should have inverted his and Hunter Brown's prices. So I'm getting 45% on Max Fried. That sound about right?
Yeah, it depends how narrow you're going to get, but it's a big slate. 45% on Fried. I'm fine with that, but it's that's definitely going to be well over the market.
Well, I don't want to be under.
I know you don't. No. I know your goal here is to get over on Fried, which I agree with. That will be significantly over in the large CPPs.
Yeah, my favorite Yankee bat is a little different than you. I like Jazz Chisholm just because of the double positional eligibility. And I think he may go a little under-owned because he is the most expensive Yankee other than Aaron Judge. So I do like Jazz Chisholm tonight. As far as bats, we'll go to the next game. Chicago White Sox at Toronto. We got a over-under of 9 juiced under to 100, minus 119 on the under, and Toronto's laying minus 205. I believe that the White Sox pitcher was scratched. Davis, what's his fucking name? I'm blanking on the guy's name. But anyways, he got scratched. So now they've got Grant Taylor going against Spencer Turnbull. You got anything here?
Yeah, it was Davis Martin was the pitcher you were looking
Davis
for, right?
Martin.
Yeah, he was. So, yeah, not much here in the way of pitchers. Don't like Turnbull. I don't particularly like the upside in the K. I mean, decent in the Ks. You get you like a K per inning. It is 5,800 on the price tag, so that's not terrible. But he's probably not going to make my 150 builds. I don't have him particularly. I've got him at the 16th pitcher on the entire slate, so not really looking at much for pitchers in this one. Typically, we don't really like much on the White Sox side offensively or with pitchers. I actually think, I mean, I don't really like the bats all that much in this game. I don't know about you. I would actually lean a little bit higher on the White Sox bats. I think if you are looking for some cheap bats, I think Benintendi at the 3K, Robert at 3,500. I think you could play either one of those guys if you're looking to get someone in at a cheaper price. If you want to if you're looking to kind of punt at the catching position, I think Teal at 2,500 is a decent play as well. But they're kind of one pieces in this game, and maybe some secondary stacks for me. But other than that, this game I'm kind of not doing much with.
Yeah, I agree. Not playing any of the pitchers. As far as a one-off, I do not mind if I mispronounce this, then slap me in the face. Chase Meadrath with the multi-positional eligibility, both middle infield positions. He fits into a lot of builds despite being 3,500. So I do not mind playing him. You mentioned Kyle Teal. I think Lennon Sosa at 2,300 also with first base and second base eligibility. You could play him. But yeah, I prefer Chicago to Toronto, but I think they both suck. Next, we got Atlanta at Miami, and Atlanta with Didier Fuentes coming in at a minus 145, over under of 9, juiced minus 115 against Jansen Junk, an amazing pitcher name. I don't know how you feel about this game. I'm not really digging it, but what's up?
Yeah, for me, the pitching is a no-go, but I do like the Atlanta bats. I like the Atlanta bats quite a bit. Don't like anything on the Miami side, but pretty much this entire Atlanta lineup is in play for me. It can get a little expensive here playing 5-man stacks. You get a little bit of a break with Harris. Albies 3,800. Harris is at 3,400. Verdugo down at 3,200. But I really like the guys. Some of the more expensive bats here. I like Riley, Olsen, and Acuna quite a bit. So I think I'm going to be a little heavier with these Atlanta bats than it seems like you are in this one. But I mean, it is one of the better totals on the board as well. I didn't look at the betting market. Are you taking anything on this one on the game in the betting market?
Let's see what I got. I took the under.
All right, well, that doesn't bode well, but and it's what was the total? 9.5.
9 under 115.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think might have a little more faith in your boy Jansen Junk than most people. I'm only getting like the Atlanta bats around 5% for most of the batters. Highest one being Albies, as you mentioned. I'm getting in like 8%. Miami, I do like a couple of them as one-off pieces. Again, it's with the middle infielders, and I think that's just a little bit of a foreboding for the team that I'm really going to be hammering later. But Otto Lopez and Xavier Edwards, I'm getting a decent amount despite Edwards being 4,300. Atlanta, throwing out a fucking nobody. A guy that probably just got called up. I think he's 20 years old. So, I don't mind Miami's bats. But this is not a game I'm really targeting very much. My highest player is Otto Lopez at 8% for either team.
Yeah.
Right now.
I think the upside here is pretty good with Atlanta, and I think you're going to get them at fairly low ownership. So this is one I don't think you have to get crazy, but I think your 5% is probably really close to the market. And for me, if you want to get over on them, and I would, I don't think you need to go much higher than maybe 10% in your stacks.
No. All right. Next up, we got Cincinnati at St. Louis. I know that I have a big bet on St. Louis. We have Andre Palant against Brady Singer, and the over-under is 9 under, juiced under -120. St. Louis is laying $1.45. I don't necessarily like him for DFS. I do like Pallant as far as like in the betting market. How do you feel about this game? Are you playing any hitters? And do you agree with me on the St. Louis side?
Yeah, do like the St. Louis side. Don't necessarily love the offenses in this game, so won't be heavy. I won't be heavy offensive minded in this game. Palante, I've got rated above Singer, but neither one of these guys all that high. Obviously, you're getting a bit of a price break, but you just don't get enough Ks. I think like you were kind of alluding to where you like Palante better in the betting market. Just not a great DFS play for me with the strikeouts for him. And if you look in the if I bring him up in the betting markets, I mean it's pretty low props for Palante in strikeouts and in 4.5 with a heavy juice to the under. And Singer's only a 3.5 juice to over. So just guys that I don't typically like, especially on a large slate. I try not to play these guys who don't have that upside with strikeouts. It's really tough for them to find their way to a lot of points and into the winner. So even at that price tag, I'm going to pass on these guys. But yeah, I still don't like much as far as the bats go. Contreras on the St. Louis side, Ellie's always an option for a one-off play. I don't think you're going to probably use him all that much at the 6,100 with some of these expensive stacks that we probably want to be looking at tonight. So really maybe some one-offs on St. Louis, Donovan, Contreras. That's about it. Maybe Pages at catcher at 2,900, but I'd be very, very limited on both sides of this game.
Yeah, I'm getting Palante, whatever the fuck, about 5 or 6%. So he's not sneaking in very much. Don't get Brady Singer at all due to the price being higher. Cincinnati, again, Ellie's really the only bat I'm getting whatsoever. But on the St. Louis side, I'm getting quite a bit of your boy Lars Nootbaar, everyone's favorite Japanese player, at what was he, 36,
yeah,
3,600. So I do really like Lars Nootbaar tonight. Other than that, Contreras and Brendan Donovan are certainly in the mix. Mason Wynn, Burleson, these guys are all fairly priced, and the total isn't super low. So and Brady Singer sucks ass. So I do like St. Louis as a vet tonight, and I will play them a little more than Atlanta, especially Nootbaar. And I'm gonna have a Nootbaar as a one-off quite a bit, especially in the higher stakes stuff. So let's get into the next game. We got one of my favorite games, New York Mets at Philadelphia. We have Zach Wheeler on the mound against Blake Tidwell. Over under of 8.5, juiced -120 to the over and rising. That is actually my number one bet of the night, is the over on this game. And then the Phillies are -203 at our partner DraftKings. I kind of don't like Zach Wheeler today for a variety of reasons. I'm curious whether you feel the same.
Did you see the prop I posted?
Yeah, you posted under on Wheeler. I know that kind of.
So I have an under on the Wheeler prop as well, and those K props have been pretty solid all year. I mean, in the model, I've got him as my third pitcher on the entire slate. I think I'm in agreement with you because my betting model likes the under on Wheeler's Ks. I'm going to kind of tone it down there. I'm going to move him down a little bit in my rankings. So, yeah, when you say though, this is one of your favorite games betting wise, or one of your favorite from a DFS standpoint?
I think they're going to hit. I think there's going to be runs.
Well, you could. So what? I like to find a game. I don't know if this is necessarily the one for me. I love to find the games where we get some decent ownership on the pitcher that we can get on the other side. I mean, I do think
you don't really want to pay Wheeler that hard.
No, I don't want to fade him that hard, but I think you can play some Mets in. I think you can play some secondary stacks with the Mets. Some of the guys, some of the power bats. I don't mind that. I liked it. Like I really love Baltimore on Wednesday in the situation against Bradley. Like I really like when you get a scenario where we don't have many good.
I liked Bradley and lost my ass just to.
I'm aware. Yes. We Well, a lot of people, that was the whole reason behind it was when
Right.
you get a pitcher that's fairly cheap or really cheap and he's going to be high owned, it's typically not because of the quality of the pitcher. It's
I
just
know
the fact that
there
he's the
was
best option.
the $5,800 qualifier, the 10-man. I want to say Todd Bradley was like 70% owned.
Yeah, because he was the only option that was cheap.
And everybody got a -10.
Exactly. So I said on the show, it doesn't always work, but when it does, I got to make sure everyone remembers that I said it. So I have to, those are the options. I look like we talk about it on the show all the time. Do we want to, is this a fading, a chalk? And Wheeler's not going to be the chalk, but he's going to be fairly owned. Do we want to leverage that, the fade of that chalky pitcher by stacking some of the team? I don't know, again, if the Mets are necessarily where we want to go too heavy on stacks, but I do think the 2-man stacks for the Mets look good with some of these, with some of their more, the power bats, Alonso, Lindor, those guys. I think they're going to rate out really well. They're going to rate well on the tournament edge sheet as well because of the fact that they're going to be fairly low owned. But I think you could certainly look at the Philly bat. Schwarber looks really good here. Turner, Castellanos, Real Muto, Marsh is cheap at 2,800. So the 5-man Philly stacks will obviously be more popular than the Mets stacks, but I think we could play the offenses in this game. I do like both sides.
Right now, Philadelphia is my second highest owned team for my stacks.
I like that. I mean, I like that a lot, especially if the ownership looks like what we're projecting on Saber. Then I really like getting a little heavier here on the Philly. 10 to 15% of your stacks on Philly. It doesn't look bad to me at all.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at a situation where, like, for instance, Kyle Schwarber's 5,600 versus Ketel Marte at 62. You're getting significant discount. I'm not really, I don't think it's that much of a difference between the two. And then Juan Soto, 54, full 800 lower. He's really the only Met I'm playing like more than like 4 or 5%, but I'm still getting 4 or 5%, which usually against Wheeler I wouldn't be playing the offenses at all. But I do think this game might get some fireworks with the ball flying out a little bit in the humidity. But as far as Philadelphia, I'm getting Schwarber almost a quarter of my lineups. I'm over 10% on Turner, Bryson Stott, Kepler, Real Muto. Like I'm getting a lot of the Philly bats, and I do think that we are going to see a lot of runs in this game. And but I don't necessarily like Philly as a bet because with the if it ends up being a high scoring game, you get a lot higher variance, and the advantage of having Wheeler is nulled a little bit. So I would not look to bet Philly. I would bet the over. I do love the over at 8.5 minus 125 at DraftKings. Top bet for tonight, or sorry, it's minus 123 right now at DraftKings. My favorite bet tonight. But we'll go into the next game. We got Milwaukee at Minnesota. Jacob Misiorowski, the young kid against Joe Ryan. Minnesota's minus 163 with 8. The over-under being 8 juice, minus 114 to the under. This kid's been chucking gas, but I've been betting on Joe Ryan every fucking game at pretty much for last month, and I've got Minnesota again. How do you feel about this game for DFS? Do you have a bet? How are you vibing?
I mean, I've got Ryan as the third, as the fourth option, but like I said, I was kind of going to be moving Wheeler down a bit, so he winds up moving into my third best pitcher on the slate. I like that we could save a couple of bucks here, getting down to 9,500 off of some of the more expensive pitchers that we do have.
They just scratched Trevor Larnach.
What happened?
Trevor Larnach got scratched.
Okay. But yeah, on the Milwaukee side, Misiorowski, I will not. I mean, 9K is just ridiculous. That's a ridiculous price for a guy where we're not going to get a K per inning, and
he's not throwing 110 pitches.
And he's one of the and he just has control issues. Probably one of the worst control pitchers on this slate, with next to maybe Tidwell for the Mets. So just not a good combo for me when you get these high walk pitchers.
Make sure you let everybody know that's your boy.
It is my boy. Well, once they put that blue and orange on, they're all
until
my
they
boys.
send him to Binghamton, then he's no longer your boy.
Then he's not my boy, correct? But when he's playing in Flushing, he is my boy. But yeah, no, I just don't like the metrics here on I forgot what we were talking about.
Minnesota.
Mizorowski.
Whoa,
So I'm
Mizorowski.
passing on. Yeah, I'm passing on him for sure. I think bats in this game, I don't love a lot. I don't know where you fell on the bats, but outside of like Yelich, Churio, Contreras on the Milwaukee side, don't like much else there, and just very, very low Wallner. Brooksley at the 2,700 plays a couple of positions, could help you out. I think he's okay if you need a kind of a fill-in spot, but I don't really love the offense. I don't love the bats all that much. Buxton's always a play, but I think Buxton here 5,800. I'm going to pass on. Wouldn't really use him.
Yeah, I'm getting no Mizorowski. You're right. The control issues are not worth it, especially on the road here. Joe Ryan, I'm getting a decent amount, 10 to 15%, nothing crazy. So I do like Joe Ryan a bit. Hitters, I don't have a single hitter more than 2%. This is kind of not really a game that I like targeting here. I think we get a middling 4-3, 5-4 game, and the pitchers don't really score, the batters don't really score, and fuck it. So next we get into the good shit, which is Arizona at Colorado. Let's see. Arizona is currently minus 187 at DraftKings with an over-under of 11.5. Over juice minus 117 and moving up. And I love the over in this game. Let's hear it. Which side do you? What batters do you like? How you feeling? How are you hammering it? What's going on?
This is the best overall game from both teams that I've ever had. As far as on the, I've never seen we've seen plenty of games in Colorado where one side just dominated. As a matter of fact, Arizona's been on that before, but the prices that they put out here on Colorado are ridiculous, and people will play again. Like Gallen's going to get played, not a ton, but it's been a thing. Kind of. I've got him as my ninth option on the slate. 7,400. You're going to see people play Gallen with Arizona, try to get two cheap pitchers in there. I think he winds up being owned somewhere between maybe like even close to 10%, just because it's been such a thing to go against Colorado. But I think tonight this is a really strong. I mean, playing the Colorado bats tonight at these prices look like the best value by far that I've seen, certainly from this Colorado team in Colorado. Now, Arizona is going to rate out a whole lot better. There's not much to say other than every single bat just about in this for both sides is going to rate out extremely high on the Boomer Report when that comes out after the show. So I think you could pound the Colorado. It's a lot more palatable to play these Colorado hitters than it is Arizona. But yeah, I think you could almost go, if you're playing 20 max, I would almost exclusively play this game in a 20 max or below.
This is the highest I've ever had a team this entire season. Colorado, the Rockies are priced down so much in such a good spot. My native settings, I'm getting Hunter Goodman like 70%, like something fucking nuts. And like I never play batters that much, like other than like Ohtani, and even then, and like I'm getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 different guys on Colorado over 50% in my lineups. It's just Rockies. So I'm hammering the fuck out of the Rockies. Like that's happening. Arizona put out a shit lineup and they're expensive. I'm not as inclined to play them just because it's so prohibitive. But like you can pitch Max Fried with the Rockies. Like you can pretty much play Fried and Shane Baz or Flaherty and a 5-man Rockies with whatever the fuck you want. So I'm going to be playing a absolute fuck ton of the Rockies. Yeah, sure. Gallen at Coors Lifetime, he can lick my balls. He's also not as good as he used to be. Yeah, I'm playing the Rockies. I'm going to lose my ass if the Rockies don't hit. That's just how it's going to be today. So
yeah, I think it's the way to go. I mean, you look at these projected. I think the Sabre projected ownerships are, I mean, maybe slightly low, but even still, I mean, you're looking at
what
the
do they have
highest
on the Rockies?
What's up?
What do they have on the Rockies?
So they've got Goodman as their highest bat, which totally makes sense. Everything that you're saying.
Everybody plays Goodman. He's the only one that people play.
And they've got him at 13%. That's their highest bat. And with Beckett at 12%, and everybody else single digits. So, yeah, I mean, if that comes in, and I don't think they'll be far off on the
No,
market.
I mean, people don't like playing the Rockies because they suck. Who cares?
Exactly. Gallen's got a name.
Of course, the weather is perfect. It's like for hitting. Like, I'm playing the Rockies.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, but I think you got to get. I mean, obviously Arizona bats will be owned, but I think they're obviously cost prohibitive. Like you said, there's no Carroll in the lineup here tonight, so not exactly the Arizona lineup, but still, I think we get a lot of runs both sides. I just don't. The problem is you just don't have enough cheap pitching that I really like to get more of these Arizona bats in there. So that's what's leaning me your way, which is playing a little bit more of the Colorado side because I prefer the expensive pitching tonight.
Yeah, Arizona. There are three guys I like on Arizona. All right, Ketel Marte. Obviously, I'm playing a lot, even at 6,200. Middle infield. Obviously, you need to play Ketel Marte. I think Eugenio Suarez could hit multiple home runs. Always, and right versus left. I love him. I do like Lourdes Gurriel for a similar reason, and he's only 4,600, so he's much more palatable than, say, a Josh Naylor at 55, left versus left. Don't want it. But yeah, no, it's all Colorado for me. Like, it's just.
I mean, Grichuk's 3,800. I mean, you got 3,800. Grichuk is really good right in the middle of that lineup.
Well, the problem with Grichuk is they're going to pinch hit him. They're going to get him out for Carroll at some point during the game.
That is the problem.
So, as soon as the lefty comes out, Grichuk's coming out. That's the problem.
Who else do we have with potential?
Tim Tawa is 4,500, bro. Your boy, Tim Tawa.
41. Yeah.
Like, I don't want that shit.
You got Vargas, too, at
Ildemaro Vargas is the only player that I did not mention that I have more than 10% on Arizona.
Let's see where I've got him.
Yeah, I mean, Vargas, I would play.
He's rated decent. I mean, he's rated towards the bottom on the entire for both sides here for me on the with the Boom Report, but that's still actually really high. So it's still a high level.
All the time he's a cunt. Grichuk and Tower are going to get pinch hit for. It's literally just Ketel Marte, Suarez, and Gurriel, and then Vargas. Carroll's hurt. Yes, I know Carroll's hurt. They're still going to pinch hit Grichuk.
Yeah, they will.
And the Colorado guys, low pinch hit risk, if any.
That's true.
Like I can ream these off right now. Hunter Goodman, I'm playing 70%. Jordan Beck, 45. Tyler Freeman, 45. Ryan McMahon, 50. Brenton Doyle, 45. Michael Toglia, 55. Like, I'm jamming in on Colorado.
I don't disagree. I don't think it's a terrible idea tonight. Certainly no one else will. I mean, Colorado gets you double digits. It's going to be a very lucrative night for sure.
Yeah, nobody's going to do it until I start yelling about it. But
no one's going to. Well, how many times have we gone to these live finals and Colorado's just burned us? So,
well, if they're not, I'm going to keep. Fuck it, I'm going to keep playing them.
Well, you got to keep doing it. That's why I tell people like in this series, in all the Colorado series,
Tony won the live final with the Rockies. Okay, it works sometimes.
It does work sometimes, but when you've got like the Colorado series, I think it's one of those where you just either hammer it for the 3 games or whatever, you know what it is, or 3-game series, or you just
hammer it always forever.
Right. Typically, you're going to do that
until I am deceased. I am playing Coors Field.
Yeah. No, I'll keep it going once you pass.
Thank you, Tony. We love it.
So yeah, but I think this is certainly the game we've been.
All right, I've sucked off.
And there's some options, man. There's some cheap options to go with these expensive pitchers. So I get it. Colorado for all the money.
Yeah. So I've sucked off the worst team in the league too much. Next up, Houston, my boys at the Los Angeles Angels. Hunter Brown, the most expensive pitcher on the slate, going against the trader Yusei Kikuchi. Houston's minus 164, off an opening line of minus 180. The current over-under is 8, juiced minus 112 to the under. Can I interest you in Hunter Brown at that insane price tag?
I mean, I've got him as the number 2 option on the entire slate. Yeah, it's crazy, and you're going to get much less ownership on him with some of these other pitchers who are, I think, equally good here. You've got Brown at 6.5 in his prop market, heavily juiced to the over. So, I mean, obviously that's pretty good. But even look, 6.5 juice to the over, 18.5 heavily juiced to the under on his pitching outs. I mean, that's actually not an 11K pitcher typically. I mean, that's just not enough. You'd want at least a 7.5 prop at that 11K mark. Now, like I said, the guys who I have up at the top are all really close. It's not like I dislike Brown, but I'm going to have to knock Brown down below like a Ryan, certainly below Fried, even though I've got him 2 in my model. It's just too expensive that I'm not going to be able to get as much of him. And listen, we're all going to be in the same boat, which I think winds up kind of capping the ownership that we see on Brown. So if you do, here's the thing: if you do, I think going with a pitcher like Brown, who I think winds up being under-owned for the talent, and it's strictly because of salary, maybe you do want to force him in a little bit higher than the market here.
What do you think the market comes in at on Brown?
Because I think he's going to be sub 20%. So I think if you can get over 20% on Brown, I like that play. I like getting the good pitcher. It's the inverse of what I was talking about before, right? Where if you've got a pitcher who's, kind of a crappy pitcher, but he's the best crappy pitcher on the slate, he's going to get high owned. Those are the ones I like to fade. I like to get over on these guys who are the quality pitchers, and the slate is going to dictate the fact that there's other quality pitchers. There's a lot of good high price stacks at Coors especially, and that's going to lower his ownership. I like to kind of bump it up over that and take the talent and hope that I can find some bats that go with it in my 150 builds.
Yeah, and I mean, you can certainly afford Hunter Brown with the Rockies. So
yep.
I'm going to probably be in that 15 to 20% range just because I'm jamming in Max Fried so much. So I'm not necessarily going to try and get over, but I certainly don't want to get beat by Hunter Brown. So I'm not going to go under.
Yeah, so. I don't think exactly. I don't think you want to fade. I don't think you want to just X out Brown and say, I'm just going to play. I'm going to see if I can get away with just playing Fried and Wheeler or something like that. And we already said, we're kind of downgrading Wheeler a little bit. But, I mean, when Hunter Brown's obviously, is he the favorite? Would you make him the favorite in the market right now?
No, Fried.
To the highest. I think it's real tight, obviously a plurality favorite. But I would think between Fried and Brown, they'd be close.
I would go Fried, substantial drop, Brown, Flaherty, Zach Wheeler, and then Joe Ryan, Baz, and Pivetta.
Yeah, no, you're going to be much higher with Flaherty there, and I think the Brown and Fried are just really, really tight. So you're seeing a big gap on your side, but I just think you're not going to be totally shocked if Brown gets the highest point total here tonight.
Oh, of course not. I mean,
to your point though,
stuff. I think he has better stuff than Max Fried for sure.
Right. I just think to your point, which I agree with, is don't let him beat you. So at least get in your 150 builds, at least get to the market on him, which I think 15 to 20% gets you there. My personal opinion is I'd want to be even a little bit higher than that.
Yeah. Houston bats, I'm playing 4 or 5%. Obviously they can always hit a lot of home runs. They strike out at a pretty astronomical rate. So I'm not going to eliminate Yusei Kikuchi from the player pool, but as I mentioned earlier, Shane Baz is only 100 more. How do I play Kikuchi over Shane Baz? It doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to have a lot more Shane Baz than Kikuchi, probably around 5% on Kikuchi. So next we got Kansas City going out to San Diego to play the Fathers out in California. Michael Lorenzen against Nick Pivetta. We have over under 7.5 flat. San Diego is a minus 156 favorite, down from minus 177. So some steam there on Lorenzen against Pivetta. This is mostly going to be pitchers. How do you feel about Pivetta?
Yeah, it's definitely this is definitely more of a pitching game. I've got Pivetta decently high here. I mean, his props are 5.5, minus 135 to the.
He's been good. He's been very good.
Yeah, I mean, I've got him as the 5th option on the slate. I gotta be honest, I really like Ryan a lot more for the $200 for the 200. The problem you have against Kansas City is just that strikeout rate. You don't expect a ton of strikeouts. Good ballpark though.
And Pivetta pounds the strike zone, so you're probably not going to get a lot.
He definitely pounds the strike zone. Not a guy who's going to walk anybody. We don't expect a lot of runs to be given up in this game. It's just a matter of, I think you're going to get your points with you're hoping to get 5-6 strikeouts here, and then he goes fairly deep in the game. He's got one of the higher out totals in the prop market. So that, and obviously if you could sneak the win in there and get some points. So I mean, he's not a totally, just because he's not going to get the strikeouts. I think some of these other pitchers that are in his price range or a little bit higher will. He does have some upside there where he can get a little deeper in the game. Like I said, the control is really, really solid. That could get him into the, maybe into the 7th inning of this game and not give up maybe more than a run or two. And he becomes pretty solid play at the 9,300. So definitely not going to not Xing him out. He's going to be probably the 4th best option here for me on the entire slate. As far as Lorenzen goes, I've got no interest. I think is it's probably the worst strikeout pitcher per inning on the entire slate. So no interest for me there. And as far as the bats go, you're right. I mean, this is mostly a pitching game. I think I don't typically like to go too heavy on bats in this one. I mean, I think you've got better options. Tatis and Machado are fine, but I think you've got better options out there. I would say the only thing is, Maldonado at catcher. If he, I don't think we have that lineup yet. If you got Maldonado at catcher at 2,100, that's a pretty decent punt play. But other than that, I don't see too much offensively.
Yeah, I mean, I think on the San Diego side, Bogarts at 3,200 as shortstop is definitely playable. I'm getting him as a one-off quite a bit. Kansas City, like Bobby Witt, we spoke about getting a little bit of a discount on these elite players in worse spots. Bobby's only 5,400 shortstop, so I'm getting him, high single digits. Certainly think you can play Salvador Perez and Jonathan India at 3,400 and 3,300. I'm getting a fair amount of Royals minis compared to what you would expect against Pivetta. I don't necessarily agree that Pivetta is a worse play than Joe Ryan just because at 9,300 you don't necessarily need a 35 like you would from Hunter Brown. And Pavetta's floor is substantially higher than Joe Ryan. I don't think Pivetta is going to give up very many runs. And he's going to go pretty deep in the game because he doesn't walk people. So I don't mind Pivetta a lot, especially in higher stakes, but I much prefer the lower price points on Jack Flaherty and Shane Baz and Tanner Bibby, which we'll talk about in a minute, to Pivetta. And the San Diego bats pretty much just Bogarts, and then Kansas City, it's just those few guys, the two mispriced guys, India and Perez, and then Bobby Witt. Next, we got Cleveland and Oakland, which is what I wanted to talk about. Cleveland, Oakland. Cleveland is minus 123, over under of 9, overjuiced minus 119. This game actually opened with a 10 total and is now a 9 total. How do you like the pitchers in this game? Because I'm getting quite a bit of it.
Yeah, I mean, Springs surprisingly rates out fairly high at the 6,300. I got him as the 6th overall on the model. So I think it's a product of the slate that we have, the lack of really strong options that are cheap from pitching. So this one kind of falls into the realm of what I was looking at with Bradley. I think I had Bradley in a similar spot on Wednesday to Springs here, and I think a lot of people are going to have. We're not going to get a ton of ownership because it was a shorter slate on Wednesday. But I think the play here is more Cleveland bats, even though I've got Springs decently high on my model. So I like the Cleveland bats much more than I like Springs here. And then Bibby, I've got he's my 8th best pitcher on the slate, 7K, much better strikeout upside than Springs has for a few bucks more. And but he does rate a little bit lower for me. I think the model's just kind of looking at that price differential, and these guys are fairly close. But I don't love either pitcher, especially in that ballpark. It always kind of scares me pitching in that park. So this is one of those where I prefer the Cleveland bats, and I think you can take some 5-man stacks here. I like them as primary stacks. So they'll be one of my maybe top 5 stacks on the slate would be Cleveland. You've got Fry at 3,400. You've got Arias at 3,200 at a tough shortstop position. I mean, Ramirez is expensive, and Lane Thomas 3,300. So you've got some bats in there, especially if you want to play them as secondary stacks along with that game in Colorado. I like it. I like the Cleveland side. Athletic bats as well. Not Oakland. We can't say Oakland anymore. Athletic bats as well, and but I think Cleveland's the stronger side. But you're seeing them. I mean, you're seeing this thing get steamed to the under, huh?
A whole run.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And if there's one thing I've learned doing this as long as I have, it's that you do not avoid, like, you don't go against that kind of thing. So fuck the bats. I'm not playing the bats in this game like at all. I've got one guy more than 2%, Lane Thomas, just because he's underpriced against a lefty. Other than that, don't have Oakland hardly at all. Cleveland, even Jose Ramirez, Steven Kwan, I'm only getting 1-2%. I've got both the pitchers in the low 20s. Tanner Bibby is one of my favorite pitchers on the slate. I love Tanner Bibby tonight. Oakland loves striking out. He likes striking people out. So I'm big on Tanner Bibby. Springs, I'm getting a substantial amount, over 20%. I definitely think that he is a high upside option on this slate. For as cheap as he is, I think that he could score. And so I'm not with you on the Cleveland bats. I'm playing the pitchers in this game in order to fit in my, my Kyle Schwarbers and my Kettle Martes and whatever else at the top. So I like the pitching in this game. Next, we got Washington at the Los Angeles Dodgers. Mackenzie Gore, obviously a substantial pitching advantage for Washington going against old man Clayton Kershaw. The over-under is 8, juiced over -116. It actually opened at 8.5. The Dodgers are -205. I always love Mackenzie Gore, but it's just such a horrible matchup. I mean, I know we've done this a lot in the past where we like great pitcher against great team type deal. Are you interested in Mackenzie Gore or not?
Yeah, I do usually like that as well. I mean, it's similar to kind of some of the stuff we were talking about earlier, but Gore is just not rating out all that high here for me. Like you said, it's just this matchup I just don't like. 9,800. What's up?
It's the Dodgers. They're too good.
Yeah, they are a pretty good team from what I've heard, huh? But yeah, Gore over 5.5 strikeouts is slightly juiced there to the over 17.5 outs. I mean, Kershaw's 4.5 on his strikeout total prop market and 15.5 on his outs. But yeah, Kershaw, I don't have. Matter of fact, I've got Kershaw slightly above just because of the big price differential, slightly above Gore on my list. But neither one of these guys of any significance for me. I think it's going to be trick. Let me see I didn't look at what Sabres got as far as ownership on these guys. And now my Sabre just froze on me, but I don't think we're not going to expect much in the way of ownership. So I don't know if we're getting all that much of an advantage. I do like the Boom Report will like these Dodger bats that typically does. There'll be nothing on the Washington side that it really likes. Usually CJ Abrams rates out high, but from what I'm looking at, he's going to be high, won't be nearly as high as he usually is. We didn't get that lineup right, but they've got Chaparro as projected starting at first base. That's another pretty good punt option if you want to, if you're looking to save at first base, and he's in at 2,400.
Riley Adams at catcher is 2K.
Do I have him? I do have Riley Adams in at 2K. Still don't love him that much. We had some other options at catcher potentially.
I definitely like him over Maldonado.
Yeah, no, I don't like. I like Maldonado much better. But obviously, yeah, the way the markets look, I know what you're looking at there. But yeah, I mean, there's some cheap, Rojas, 2-position player at 2,100 for the Dodgers if he's in there. So there's a couple of pieces in here that I like. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's just Dodger. I'll have some Dodger stacks, no real Washington stacks outside of maybe some one-offs, and that's about it. But I don't like the pitchers much either.
Yeah, I'm not getting a whole lot of the pitching. But I usually have a lot of Ohtani one-offs, and I'm not getting a whole lot of that either because of Gore. So, I don't really have a ton of interest in the Dodgers side or the pitchers. The two guys that I do like in this game, Josh Bell 2,800 at first base for Washington if he's in instead of Chaparro. And then Adams at catcher, 2K flat. He can hit. He can hit better than Maldonado. So I'm getting 4 or 5% on Riley Adams. But James Wood certainly at 5,700 has high upside. So I'm going to have James Wood as a one-off a few times. But overall, this isn't really a game to target. So that leaves us with one game left. Boston at San Francisco. The revenge of Rafael Devers. Let's see what the line is. The line is San Francisco minus 132 with Hayden Birdsong against Hunter, the Yankee hater Dobbins. Over under 7.5 minus 115. I know I had a big bet on this game, and it is the under. How do you feel about the pitchers, the hitters? San Francisco's not really the place you want to be targeting much hitting.
Not typically, yeah. We're not looking at hitting and what Boston's done with this lineup. We're not going to be on the Boston lineup all that many times either. Birdsong I've got as my 7th best option. I love the upside, so I'd actually bump him up just a little bit. At 8K, you've got 5.5 heavy juice to the over on his strikeout total in the betting markets. They're not anticipating a ton of outs, so that's the thing that's kind of suppressing it a little bit for me. Just 15.5 on his out total. Dobbins is at 4.5, heavy juice, over minus 200 to the under. So, Dobbins is a no-go here for me. But I do like Birdsong quite a bit. Don't like the pitchers, but I don't mind getting over the market here on Birdsong. The thing you worry about with Birdsong is he's got control issues. So that's the downside. But I don't mind taking, if I get the right price on a pitcher with good K upside, I think typically, and that's why these guys are a little cheaper, they usually come with control problems. So if you can catch them, this is what we're looking for in GPPs. Guys who do have the ability to miss bats, and if they get the control in a good environment, which San Francisco is, against a not great offense, I like Birdsong here. I think I probably like Birdsong more than you like Baz or Flaherty.
I do like Birdsong quite a bit. He currently is my 6th highest pitcher behind Free, Flaherty, Baz, the 2 guys in Oakland or Sacramento, and then he's next. 8K I think is a good price for him. You spoke about the control issues, but the upside is there. He can strike out a lot better. So I do like Birdsong here quite a bit, and I will be playing him as such. For the batters, Dobbins. Touch on Dobbins. Not playing Dobbins. He sucks. Boston don't really have any of the batters. San Francisco getting Willy Adames as a one-off a few times. That's about it. I think this game ends up being low scoring, but Dobbins really not much upside. It's all Birdsong here for me. So that's how I feel about the slate. I'll answer this question real quick. Fuck Zach Gallen. No Rockies. All right,
we usually do. So we usually give. We need a Don call.
A Don call. Okay. Let me bust out.
I'll give you. All right, I'll give you my Don call.
Yeah, you go first
for tonight. And I'm giving you a cheap bat. Don call. Stanton goes deep tonight at 3,700. He's going to be heavy.
What's the line on that?
It's going to be very chalky. That's a good question. I don't have the line in front of me. If I had to imagine, he's probably, 300, plus 300, something like that?
Rockies are getting heavy steam now that Arizona's lineup sucks.
Let me see what the,
I'm looking for mine, so you figure that one out.
I'll tell you what Stanton is in the market. I'm guessing at 3. Yeah, all right. So plus 250 on Penny. So probably get better somewhere else. You might be able to find the plus 300 somewhere, but I think plus 3. Yeah, I mean plus 300 is actually close to a fair price, I think, which is tough to get on home run props, but plus 300 is actually what I would price it at fair. If you get anything better than that, it's really good.
My Don call for today is Brenton Doyle plus 500. Yeah, I know you'd like that.
I like it.
What is that? Is that it? You got?
And then we go. All right. So who's your most important pitcher on this slate? Who's gonna, not necessarily who you're gonna be highest owned on, although it certainly could.
Flaherty. It's got to be Flaherty.
So Flaherty's going to be your highest leverage pitcher.
Yeah, Flaherty's almost my highest owned. He's close.
Okay. And then what's your favorite stack? Obviously, it's going to be Colorado.
Colorado
for you tonight.
Colorado and Flaherty.
Yeah, I'm going to go. So I think Fried is the best option here tonight. I'll stick with Fried. I think Bird. You know what? I'll just say Birdsong though as a leverage play.
The Diamond promo, is that we I guess we touched on it already. Brenton Doyle, and then you had
yeah, Stevers. When the boom report comes out, that's a big. A lot of people like to use that on the for the King of the Diamond. So, unfortunately, on Friday nights I don't have more time, but I do. I can figure out.
What are you out getting pussy?
No. We're doing the show.
Oh, right.
And then afterwards.
And then that,
yeah. No, but
you got a date lined up?
No.
Not tonight. Just out there trolling.
We're gonna be hoping for random pussy tonight.
You gonna hit the strip club with Teddy?
No. That's if the night's just not going well, maybe on the way home. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But
might have been on the Uber driver. I got it.
I've done that before. And let's see. I got to give you a stack. So my stack that I'll stay. I'm going to say that the Atlanta stack I think is going to be, and I know that's the one that you hate. I'm just gonna stick with just because I think it's a good. It was either Atlanta or Philly.
Dude, Stats would win the Goon Olympics. I promise Stats would win the Goon Olympics.
What's that? I don't even know.
Goonin. Go look it up. Goonin.
Come on, man.
You are
random
the goon of the
century. MN, that's actually the term I was looking for. Random strange.
You're the goon of the century, John.
I've never been called a goon.
Random pussy play of the day, Brenton Doyle. Let's go.
All right, boys. I think that's it. We got I got the boom report. Oh, by the way, I've been working on the NFL boom stuff. I think I won $1 million.
Oh, we got NFL boom.
Yeah, I think I won $1 million 3 times last year after back testing it. So this is.
I won $1 million 3 times in January.
Yes, I know. Yeah, but now we're gonna win it every week now. So.
All right, for John, I'm Mark. Fuck yourself.